Only 5% of people your age can still do this. You wake up to a quiet morning. Your feet hit the ground and, miracle of miracles, you stand up. Without help. Without a creak loud enough to wake the cat. No nurse, no crane, just you, your spine, and some determination. If you're in your 70s or 80s and still handling your business, you're rarer than a Wi-Fi signal at a campground. Most folks at this stage start collecting pill organizers, not stories, but not you. You're the plot twist. Let's find out if you're part of this elite club. The first miracle, you can still touch your toes. On purpose. You versus gravity, and you're still winning. Being able to tie your own shoes, that's a miracle most folks miss. Let's get one thing straight. If you're over 70 and still bending down to pick up a sock without pulling a hamstring or whispering a prayer to your spine, you're basically an unsung superhero. No cape needed, just maybe a good lumbar pillow. You know what most people don't realize? That putting on pants without leaning against a wall is a full-body coordination event. Some days it's a dance, some days it's a duel. And if your knees are still playing along without filing a complaint to Human Resources, you're already beating the odds. Let me tell you about Carmen. She's 74, lives alone in San Antonio, and gets up every morning at 6:30, rain or shine. First thing she does, stretch her arms like she's about to conduct a symphony, cracks her back like bubble wrap, and heads straight for her kitchen. She makes her own breakfast, none of that toast and tea nonsense, full-on eggs, peppers, and something she swears is healthy because it's green. She doesn't ask for help, doesn't wait on a neighbor. She chops, stirs, and flips with the confidence of a chef and the sass of someone who once ran a dance studio. But here's the kicker. Every Wednesday, Carmen walks half a mile to her senior center dance class, not because she has to, but because she wants to. Her friends say she moves like someone 30 years younger. Carmen laughs and says, "No, honey, they move like they're older than me." She does the cha-cha, the waltz, occasionally the electric slide, though she says that one messes with her knees if she hasn't had enough water. Her secret? No secret. I just never stopped moving. People who stop moving turn into furniture. I'm not ready to be a coffee table yet. And that's it. That's the point. Your body isn't a machine to be tuned and timed. It's a vehicle for joy, purpose, and yes, the occasional awkward dance at weddings. Being active doesn't mean bench pressing a Buick. It means doing your groceries, picking your grandkid off the floor, or racing your neighbor to the mailbox just to remind them who's still got it. If you still make your bed, sweep your floor, and take the trash out without negotiating terms with your joints, you're not just aging well, you're aging like a boss. And next time someone half your age complains about sciatica or tight hips, just nod and go open that pickle jar they can't, because you can. And that, my friend, makes you rare. The second wonder, your brain still got its bite. If you can smell a scam before it knocks, you're sharper than most knives. Could you spot a scam if it came in the shape of a free gift? You ever get one of those calls that start with, "Congratulations, you've won a Caribbean cruise," and your first thought is, "Great, now how much is this going to cost me?" If that's you, bravo. You're not confused, you're just seasoned. You're not gullible, you're discerning. You've got a built-in nonsense detector, and unlike your car battery, it hasn't failed once. Here's the thing, keeping a sharp mind after 70 is like keeping a plant alive on a windowsill. Everyone assumes it's easy, but it actually takes daily maintenance, selective attention, and sometimes a little sass. Let me introduce you to Horace. Horace is 80 years old and lives in a quiet suburb outside Tampa. His grandkids think he's a little old-fashioned because he still uses a landline and writes checks. But what they don't know is Horace is the scam terminator. A few months back, some nice-sounding young man called offering him a senior wellness emergency pendant, free of charge, just pay shipping. Before the guy could finish his pitch, Horace was already asking for his business license number, tax ID, and the exact dimensions of the button. When the caller got flustered, Horace said, "If this pendant saves lives, why are you sweating right now?" Click. That's how Horace operates. He plays confused when it gets him out of chores, but hand him a contract with fine print and he'll read it with the precision of a retired lawyer, which he's not, but don't tell him that. This is what having a sharp mind really looks like: asking questions, trusting your gut, and knowing that the only things in life that are truly free are advice and regrets, and even those can be expensive if you're not careful. So you still balance your own checkbook, spot a phishing email before it loads, and know better than to believe a collagen supplement can restore your knees and your marriage. That's not just mental clarity, that's Jedi-level awareness. You may forget where you put your glasses, sure, but you've never forgotten that if something sounds too good to be true, it usually comes with a monthly subscription and a cancellation fee you can only access via Morse code. So the next time someone tries to pull a fast one, just smile sweetly, lean in, and say what Horace says. "Son, I've been around longer than you've had teeth. Try again." Because your mind, it's not just still working, it's working smarter. And pretending to be confused, that's not a flaw. That's a strategy. That's wisdom, baby. If you've ever dodged a free cruise call like a ninja with a landline, leave a comment and tell us your proudest scam dodging moment. We're building a hall of fame for sharp minds. The third flex. You're not asking your kids for gas money. Financial independence because dignity never goes out of style. 70% of retirees rely completely on their children. Are you one of the 30 who don't? You know what's better than winning the lottery? Not needing to borrow gas money from your daughter who just discovered yoga and thinks oat milk is a personality. If you're 70 plus and still handling your finances without needing a group text and a GoFundMe to pay for your dentist visit, you're not just rare, you're royalty. Because here's the truth, money in your golden years isn't about luxury cruises or buying one of those chairs that lifts you into standing like a sentient robot. It's about freedom. The freedom to say no thanks when your kids suggest moving into the guest room. The freedom to buy your own shoes, your own groceries, your own chocolate stash without anyone questioning your budget. Let me tell you about Dolores. Dolores is 79, widow, lives in a tidy little brick house with floral curtains and a cookie jar that's never empty. She's got a pension, a little rental income, and a purse that could fund a small country, but she still clips coupons like it's a competitive sport. Last Christmas, her son offered to pay for dinner at a fancy restaurant. Dolores smiled, let him pay, and then secretly slipped her card to the waiter in the back. When he asked why, she said, "I let you feel generous. I didn't say it was broke." Dolores understands something vital. Accepting help occasionally is fine, but depending on it, that's a recipe for tension. And trust me, there's enough tension at Thanksgiving already. When you've got your own nest egg, even if it's more scrambled than sunny side up, you get to live on your own terms. You're not waiting for birthday money or pretending your Social Security deposit is just delayed again. And you definitely don't have to hear phrases like, "We'll talk about that in the family budget meeting." If your bills are paid, your fridge is full, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for buying a ceramic garden gnome on a Tuesday, you're not just financially independent, you're living legend. So go ahead, buy that second pair of slippers, book that weekend bus trip with the seniors group, leave a suspiciously large tip for the barista who remembered your name. Because having your own money in your 70s, that's not about spending, that's about standing tall, preferably without someone else footing the bill. Still with us and still smiling? Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this community, it's growing wiser, louder, and funnier by the day. And we're just getting started. The fourth magic trick. You can talk to your kids without a Cold War. No eye rolls, no walkouts, just actual conversation. Wild. Tired of every conversation turning into an argument? Here's why you're ahead. Let's talk about a rare skill, rarer than whistling with dentures and more valuable than a Sunday morning bingo jackpot. If you can still have a conversation with your adult kids without someone storming off, sighing heavily, or texting their therapist mid-call, you, my friend, have entered emotional Jedi territory. Because for some reason, the older we get, the easier it is for simple conversations to turn into full-blown hostage negotiations. You say, "I think the meatloaf needs more salt." They hear, "You're a failure and I never liked your cooking." You say, "When are you going to settle down?" They hear, "Your love life is a disappointment." You blink and it's offensive. But if you've somehow managed to dodge those landmines, if you figured out how to speak without lecturing, advise without condescending, and listen without drifting off halfway through their story about a coworker named Brent, you're rare and also a miracle of restraint. Let me tell you about Judith. Judith is 80, lives in Arizona. She's got 2 kids. One's a software developer who lives in San Francisco and talks like he swallowed a TED Talk. The other's a yoga instructor who now goes by Rain and believes in crystal healing and intermittent silence. When Judith calls them, she listens. She really listens. She lets them talk about NFTs and kale smoothies and emotional unblocking. And never once does she say, "What in heaven's name are you babbling about?" Instead, she nods, sips her tea, and says, "Interesting. I'll Google that later." Now, Judith doesn't actually Google it. She watches reruns of Murder, She Wrote. But that's not the point. The point is, Judith gets it. She knows the secret sauce to staying connected isn't being right. It's being kind. It's knowing when to speak and when to just say, tell me more. You don't need to agree with your kids' every life choice. You just need to make them feel heard, not haunted by your opinion. And if you figured that out, you've got something stronger than authority. You've got influence. So, next time your son says he's starting a kombucha subscription business, just smile and say, "That sounds adventurous. I'm proud of you." And if your daughter dyes her hair blue and adopts a one-eyed iguana named Steve, resist the urge to ask questions. Just say, "Tell Steve I said hi." Because having good communication with your adult kids isn't just lucky, it's legendary. The 5th blessing. Your original spouse still likes you, mostly. Still together? That's not love, it's legendary endurance. She still brings him tea after 50 years. That's not routine, it's love. If you're waking up next to the same person you married back when TV only had 3 channels and milk came in glass bottles, congratulations! You've achieved something rarer than a perfectly working remote control in a house full of grandchildren. You didn't just stay married, you survived each other's driving, snoring, thermostat preferences, and that one time they accidentally threw out your favorite coffee mug from 1972. Let's be real, staying married for 5 decades isn't about grand romantic gestures. It's about surviving shared stubbornness and learning to love someone after seeing them floss. Now, meet Ruth and Walter. They've been married for 57 years. Walter's hard of hearing. Ruth repeats everything twice, once with love and once louder with irritation. Every morning, Ruth gets up first. She makes coffee. She pours his cup exactly how he likes it, black, 2 sugars, and in his mug, the one with the chip and the duck on it. She sets it down, pats her shoulder, and says, "Coffee is ready." He grunts. "Huh?" She repeats, louder this time. "Coffee is ready." He grunts again, smiles, and sips. Ritual complete. This is what love looks like after 70. It's not candlelit dinners and red roses. It's surviving 70 decades of socks on the floor and still holding hands during the commercial break. Most people today can't commit to a houseplant, but you've committed to a whole other human being with quirks, moods, and questionable fashion choices, and you're still here. You've been through births, funerals, mortgages, Lost keys, burned dinners, forgotten anniversaries, and at least one IKEA furniture assembly that nearly ended the marriage. And yet, you still choose each other every day. Even when one of you forgets where they put the car keys and the other one says, check the fridge, just to be annoying. That's not just love. That's a legacy. So, if you've still got your original partner by your side, still eating breakfast together, still bickering about which route to take, still watching the same shows on repeat because we already understand these characters, take a moment. Because that's not just a relationship. It's a rare and beautiful endurance sport. And if you're both still in the game, you've already won. The sixth upgrade. You didn't let technology win. Still learning? You're the human version of a software update. An old man holding a smartphone isn't lost. He's learning. Let's get one thing straight. Just because someone has gray hair and still double taps with one finger doesn't mean they're clueless. It means they're adapting. If you're over 70 and can figure out how to update your apps, pay a bill online, or heaven help us navigate the self-checkout line at the grocery store without accidentally alerting Homeland Security, then hats off to you. You're not just aging, you're evolving. Let me tell you about Martin. Martin is 76, lives in Philadelphia. The first time he tried using Google Maps, he ended up at a dog grooming salon instead of his grandson's piano recital. He didn't panic. He petted a poodle, got a cookie, and figured it out. Now, he's a pro. Martin has a smartphone with actual apps, not just the ones it came with. He uses voice to text like it's a superpower, although every message starts with period and ends with send that. He knows what a QR code is. He's even been known to comment on Facebook posts appropriately. Last month, he taught his neighbor how to pay their utility bill through an app. His neighbor is 65 and terrified of technology. Martin looked her dead in the eyes and said, "If I can do it, and I once thought Netflix was a vitamin, you can do it." And here's the thing. He's right. You don't have to know what a TikTok is. You don't have to use Instagram filters or understand the difference between a meme and a GIF. But if you're still trying to learn, that's what makes you rare. Because the real danger of aging isn't forgetting. It's deciding you're done learning. But if you're still curious, still asking questions, still open to learning how to zoom into a birthday party or scan a boarding pass on your phone instead of printing it out with a font the size of a billboard, you're not behind, you're ahead. So go ahead, open that tutorial video. Ask your grandson how to get the YouTube to work again. Try something new, even if you forget halfway through what it was supposed to do. Because every time you learn something new, your brain does a little happy dance. And even if your knees can't keep up, your mind is still doing the cha-cha. And that, dear friend, is a sign that you're not just aging, you're thriving with Wi-Fi. The seventh spark. You've got hobbies that don't involve complaining. Birdhouses, puzzles, salsa dancing. Who said retirement was boring? Think hobbies are just for fun? They might be keeping you alive. There are two kinds of people in retirement, those who stare at the wall like it owes them money, and those who build a birdhouse, paint a flower pot, and then blog about it. If you're in the second group, congratulations. You've figured out the secret sauce to staying young. Play. And no, we're not talking about running marathons or CrossFit for seniors, although if you're doing that, please teach us your ways. We're talking about the little things, the passions that make you lose track of time and forget that your left knee sounds like a bag of popcorn when you stand up. Meet Gloria. Gloria is 82 and knits sweaters for dogs. Not just her dogs, random dogs. Dogs she's never met. She once made a tiny turtleneck for a chihuahua she saw in a commercial. When asked why, she said, "That little guy looked cold." But that's not all. Gloria also writes mystery novels. Self-published, plots based on her bingo group. Her latest work, Murder at Table 6, The Case of the Missing Dentures. She's having the time of her life. And here's why it matters. Hobbies don't just fill time, they fill your soul.
They give your mind a place to stretch its legs without needing orthopedic shoes. You don't have to be good at it, you just have to love it. Like Ed, who takes photographs of clouds and swears one looked like Elvis last week. Or May, who joined a ukulele group even though she has no musical rhythm and keeps accidentally playing the national anthem during every song. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're just trying to stay awake and alive and joyfully weird. Because when you retire, the job isn't done. It's just changed. Now, your job is to keep yourself entertained, to laugh, to create, to discover you can still learn how to paint a bird without it looking like a flying potato. So keep your hobby. Polish that rock collection. Take that online class in cheese making. Learn to say thank you in Italian just in case you end up in Florence one day sipping espresso and wearing a beret. Because a hobby isn't just a pastime. It's proof that you're not done being you.
The 8th superpower. Your heart's too big for petty drama. You stopped comparing and started really living. Jealousy at 70? It's still real, but not if you're rare. Let's be honest. Comparison doesn't end when you hit retirement. In fact, in some neighborhoods, it thrives on front porches and in church parking lots. Oh, Edna's son bought her a Lexus. Well, my daughter sent me an air fryer. Marjorie's husband still dances with her. Yes, but has he seen a cardiologist lately? It never ends. But if you finally reach that glorious stage where you hear all that noise and think, I'm good, you, my friend, are walking on water. Because nothing ages the soul faster than bitterness, and nothing makes you lighter than letting go of the scoreboard. Let me introduce you to Felix. Felix is 77, wears suspenders, makes the world's driest meatloaf, and genuinely doesn't care if his neighbors just got a new patio set. He sits on a folding chair he bought in 1989 and says, "It still works. So do I." Last month, at a neighborhood gathering, someone asked if he was jealous that his buddy Frank just bought a condo in Florida. Felix sipped his lukewarm coffee, shrugged, and said, "Good for Frank. I hate the beach. Sand gets in places." That's the magic. Felix isn't cold. He's content. He doesn't envy, doesn't brag, and absolutely does not measure his worth in square footage or Facebook likes. He cheers others on without feeling smaller. He tells people you look happy instead of you've gained a little weight. And when someone younger shows off a new gadget, he smiles and says, "That's great. I still own a pen." See, when you reach a certain age and realize everyone's path is different, some smooth, some bumpy, some held together with duct tape, you start focusing on your own. You stop wishing your tomatoes looked like Gary's and start celebrating the fact that yours still grow. You stop comparing vacations and start appreciating that your back let you sit through a 2-hour dinner without a heat pack. You realize the secret isn't having more, it's needing less. And when your heart gets that wide enough to laugh at yourself, forgive others, and celebrate without resentment, you don't just become rare, you become magnetic. So if you've stopped keeping score, if you've traded judgment for joy, bitterness for bingo, envy for empathy, then your heart isn't just broad, it's beautiful. Now tell me, did any of these sound like you? Or maybe someone you know? Your aunt, your neighbor, your favorite bingo rival? Drop their name in the comments. Let's celebrate the rare gems while they're still shining. And if this video made you smile, nod, laugh, or just say, "Yep, that's me," go ahead and like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this community, it's growing wiser, louder, and funnier by the day. And we're just getting started.